We get a lot of joy out of it. And
Yeah.
it's my favorite thing to do. It really is. So when I have to do like these, prior written notice because somebody wants unilateral placement, all these things that are all litigious, I'm like, I don't like that. But if I can spend 1 to 2 hours of my day helping people and working with families, working with kids, working with other school psychologists, then I'm okay. My thrive ratio is on par.
Yeah.
Handle the things that are kind of yucky.
You're finding your own balance and your own boundaries within your own work, right?
Exactly. Because we want to avoid burnout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please don't burn out. You're doing an amazing job. And it is something that you have to think about as a professional. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Shayna Stuempfig. Shayna is the program supervisor for special education, and she is over the school psychologist at her school. And her school is Berkeley Unified School District in Berkeley, California. Shayna, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Janet. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So tell us what is going on in Berkeley.
Well, there's a lot, but I wanted to tell you about the thing I love the most. And I think because I was a school psychologist for a long time. I'm also a BCBA, and really my passion is around helping people. And now I'm in this administrative role, and sometimes it can be kind of tricky because it gets legal and compliance, but really my passion is how do you support those in your community, and how do you support not only the children but the parents. And so I mean I can't take full credit for this because I have such a strong group of school psychologists that I work with. But one of the school psychologists approached me and said, "Hey, I heard of this program called SPACE. And it stands for Supportive Parenting for Anxious Childhood Emotions." And his name's Jonathan Tennyson. And he said, "Can we do this in Berkeley? I know there are parents out there that are really struggling to get their kids back to school after the pandemic. They don't want to leave the home. They're very anxious. They're afraid of many things. They're afraid of sickness. And it just like this fear and this high anxiety in our society. And it was really highlighted post-pandemic. So he said, let's do something about it. Let's help our community and help our people. And he had heard of SPACE, and people were paying a lot of money for it. And so it was his friend had done it, and he paid like hundreds of dollars. Some people pay thousands. And we just said, we want to offer it, and let's figure this out. So we read up a proposal, and my boss, Sean Mansager, was able to sign off and say, go for it. And we all got the training. And so now there are 4 of us trained, and we run parent groups to support parents with their anxious children. So we love it. We love it. We have such a good time. So there's Kat Firme also does it, and Karime Blanco. And between the 4 of us, we can't wait to have referrals. So we're like, let us help you, because it's really the joy to our work.
So how does logistically, how do you make that happen?
So a school psychologist or a school counselor can make the referral. And really what we're looking for, so it's based off of a training and research by Ellie Leibowitz from Yale. And really what we're looking for is sometimes when, like, these parents are awesome and they love their kids so much. And I think sometimes when kids are really, really anxious, the natural reaction is to take that anxiety away. And sometimes that can look like, you don't have to do that. I'm going to keep you safe. Or it looks like, I'm going to do all these things to protect you, because that's a normal human thing and a normal parent thing. But sometimes when kids have anxiety, rather than taking the anxiety away, we have to teach kids how to persevere and manage.
Deal with it, right?
Yeah. And how do we get through this? Yeah. Exactly. So we look for families that, these parents are really struggling around, how do you support those anxious childhood emotions rather than taking them away? So we look for families that are, maybe having difficulty getting their kids out the door in the morning because of a fear. Or they don't want to eat certain things because of fear, or they don't want particular people in their home, or some kids, like, they don't want to use the bathroom alone. And then parents can't use the bathroom alone. There's like a lot of, I can't be by myself. They don't want to sleep alone. So there are things that it's kind of getting in the way of the parent's life and the family life. And maybe they can't go out on the weekends because of the child's anxiety. So really our goal is, how do we support these parents to support their children to, make it in the world and to face their fears and to persevere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a, uh, I can't imagine. That would be tough. It would be really, really tough and you want, as a parent, you'd never want your kids to struggle, but sometimes struggling is part of growing, right? Part of
Yeah.
growing up and teaching them how to deal with the fact that their child is struggling. I get that. So do the parents come to the school? Or are you working mostly, like, how are you implementing it? Like, I'm assuming there's some counseling for the parents themselves, right?
Yeah. So we bring the parents. It's usually a group of parents. So we try to do a group.
Okay.
I like to do the group because parents, like, they can hear each other and be there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
they're really great support. And then, so we do it virtually. And so we kind of look at who is signed up, and then we'll manage like who has, like, just with their scheduling, who could meet at a particular time. Sometimes parents can't make it until the evening, and then we'll schedule and meet families in the evening. We don't mind. And then there are other
Okay.
parents that can only meet over lunch break. So just, it depends. But we like to have, if it's single mom, totally fine. Single dad, totally fine. Single parent. But we like to have like both parents present if there are two parents in the home. We like to have we want people to get on the same page around kind of the strategy they're going to take. So it's kind of it's kind of a beauty of how, like, a school psychologist and a BCBA kind of dovetail, because you really think about the environmental factors around behavior and how to, thinking about the negative reinforcement and how that is, like, you take away something that you don't like and that doesn't feel very good, and that's reinforcing. And so we
Mm-hmm.
have to get parents to think about, like, okay, how do you, if there's a lot of this negative reinforcement happening, the behavior is going to increase.
Increase, right? It's not going to make it better, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So a lot of it is psychoeducation around anxiety and around behavior. And then how do we change our own behavior to support kids to, go beyond their anxiety and face the world with some new skills.
So what age are the children, generally speaking, the parents are working with?
So generally they're elementary school. We have some middle, and we've had some high school, but the research really wasn't done on high school students. I think it went up to 8th grade, but it's more around because when kids get older, they don't have as much contact with their parents, so their parents have less control over the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they're younger,
Yeah.
though, yeah, right. You can, like, set up. You decide what your child's going to eat. You take them to school. You know what
Right.
route you're going to take. You pick out their clothes for them, so you have more control over the environment. So it's easier to work with parents that have younger kids.
And doggone it, they grow up.
Yeah.
Being the parent of 3 adult children, they grow up. They really do.
And they
Yeah,
launch.
mine are 20. Yeah,
How old are your kids?
27, 26, and 23. Yeah.
Oh, they've
So
launched.
I have no babies anymore. No babies. Yeah. And it's an interesting dynamic when they do grow up, because it's like you're still their parent. You never stop. I'll tell you, that's it. That's the thing. You have a baby, you're a mom for life. You're a mom for life. You really are. And, you can still parent them, but you don't get to decide. You really, and if you live far, far away from them, because I have one that's in Michigan and 2 that are here in Corpus Christi where we live. And my one that is in Michigan, he's the youngest. And he's probably one of the most independent. That's why he's there. So I still parent him. He's still my child, but boy, don't get to decide for him anymore.
No. I used to ask my mom. I would say, "Mom, aren't you so glad I'm grown up and you don't have to worry about me anymore?" She goes, "Oh no, I still worry. It's just
No.
about different things."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What you worry about and how you deal with it is just a little bit different, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry. Didn't mean to take us off on that track, but we'll always be a parent, right?
Exactly. But I think that's why this is so important, is because I want parents to know that they have a place to turn, like they're not alone.
Yeah.
And it's really normal. And it's really normal to want to take away that anxiety and to support the child. And so I never want to feel like I'm shaming anybody. I want anyone to feel embarrassed or about having an anxious child. And I never want anyone to feel like this intervention is to tell them they're bad parents, because that's not true at all. And the reason they'd even be open to coming and trying something new is because they're fantastic parents and they want to help their
Right.
children.
And they want. Yeah, exactly. They want to help their kids, and I love that. And with the anxiety that we have going on today in our society, it just if you don't know how to deal with it, or you're an anxious parent yourself,
Mhm.
gosh, it's not gonna. You need help. You just need help, and then and you guys have a way for them to get help, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So you're counseling the parents. Help me to see, like, so you find a child. He's having a hard time coming to school. He has a meltdown until mom leaves every single day, something like that, whatever it is that. And then they're identified. Mom's willing to come. So then how many sessions, or like what does the therapy look like once they've been identified and do they come once? Is it multiple times? Just curious about how the program goes from there.
That's a great question. So it really depends on the parent need. I've had groups of parents where I've done about 8 sessions. And so then I have like
Okay.
session number 1, I'll really just talk about anxiety and what it is. And then, session 2, we'll talk about boundaries and how when
Mm.
when you're at work, like it's easier to have boundaries to say, I'm off work at 4, I'm going to turn off my phone. But when you're at home and you love someone and you care for them so much, your boundaries are a little more blurred. And so we were talking
Mhm.
about
Oh, do I
boundaries.
know?
Yes.
Oh, do I know?
Right. And that's so
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, when I was in college, it's so funny that you say boundaries, because I loved my mother. My mother's passed away. God rest her soul. And she was a wonderful mother, but she had mental health issues, and I went to college, and I was the youngest. So she was a needy mom, a really needy mom. And I can say this now because my mom and my dad are both passed away, and they raised me, and I am who I am because of my parents. But my mom was very needy, and she depended on me for a lot. And I went off to college, and she was still trying to do and have the same kinds of things. And I went to counseling for myself and learned exactly about boundaries and about how important it is that we as adults have boundaries around the things that are important to us and where our lines are, and establishing those and sticking to it. And I'm a very independent person, so it wasn't hard for me to set boundaries with my parent. I just needed to understand that I could and that it was okay, right? Absolutely. So
Yeah, you're
onward.
spot on. And I had a similar experience when I grew up. It was like when I went to my own therapy, she's like, "Let's talk about boundaries." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it really resonated and made sense." So,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we talk. We talk about boundaries, and then we talk just kind of a simple thing. It's called a supportive statement. So, I don't know, like when I grew up, it was a lot of like, "Go play," "Oh, you're fine," "Stop it," "Suck it up,"
Mm-hmm.
turn your
Yeah.
attitude around,
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of
Go outside and play, will you?
the lights aren't on yet. Go. There's a hose. Drink out of it.
Yeah, exactly. This generation doesn't get that. They don't get that at all. You remember it's 10 o'clock. Oh, do you know where your children are? I remember Walter Cronkite's voice saying that very thing when I was, 10
Exactly, that
o'clock.
PSA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just
Oh
not
my
like
goodness.
that anymore. And so
No, we don't
now,
have that society anymore,
no,
for sure.
no. And for better or for worse, there's a kind of like you can take
Right.
like both. And so what I like about the
Yeah.
supportive statement is that you say, like, I see that you're scared. So you acknowledge the feeling and then you say, and you're strong, you got this. So it's a way of
Nice.
affirming and like kind of calming the nervous system, and then say, and you've done this before, you've got this, you are strong, you are smart, you are this, and then they just kind of, it's like this belief in the person, belief in the child that they
Hmm.
can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's fantastic. So about 8 sessions, how do you know when they're done, when they're graduated? How do you
Oh,
graduate parents?
and I think it's always a work in progress, and so the hope
Hmm.
is that they have a roadmap of like how to
Okay.
manage these things as they come up. So another thing we have parents do is they write, it's called accommodation mapping, but it's also a way to kind of look at like safety behaviors, like kind of how are they envisioning helping their child when they're scared. So I kind of have them map out their day. Okay, Monday, what does it look like? Do you make breakfast? Does your child get up on time? How do you wake your child up? How did they get out the door during the day? Do they call you a million times from a school? Do they insist that you take a different route? And so now you're 20 minutes late to work. Do they insist that they're afraid you're going to be sick. So they insist that you take your temperature every morning. And so it's like some of these OCD behaviors that happen. It's like these insistence that may slow down a parent so they're late for work. Or, so I have them kind of map out their days. I'm like, how is this anxiety showing up? And then we'll pick one accommodation and just start there. We want to pick one that is
good.
frequently enough that they can actually address it. And then one that's kind of like, kind of some low-hanging fruit, honestly. Like, I had a parent choose, her child wanted to be wiped. And so it was kind of like she could wipe herself, but she kind of just insisted that mom would do it. And, to kind of hurry it up. Okay, I'll do it. And it was, and it was like kind of not building independence. So she's like, I'm going to pick that one. That's the one. And at some point you have to set that boundary. And the cool thing about the space program, they're very clear about how they set a boundary, and they do it by writing a letter. So it's this child saying, I'm no longer going to do this, but in a very supportive and kind way to say, I see this is hard for you. I know you're scared, but I believe in you. You're ready. And we love you so much. We're no longer going to let you come to the bathroom with us. That's it.
Okay.
I love you. You're strong.
Boy, and they have that, when you have them write it down, they have something to refer back to. That's really, really smart.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then there's the boundary. And it's so kindly, the idea is like not to be like, well, your brother can do it. You can't. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is like, you're wonderful and you've got this. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not helping you by doing this for you.
One thing I often hear from school leaders is, I just want a partner who puts students first. At Lighthouse Therapy, that's exactly what we do. We don't have outside investors, and we don't answer to shareholders. Instead, we answer to school leaders like you, those listening to this podcast. Whether you're wanting virtual, hybrid, or in-person therapy, our systems are designed to make your life easier and your team stronger. We are a therapy company run by therapists for the betterment of students. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn how we can help you support your students this year. And sometimes it becomes a codependency,
Yes.
if that's tough. And I'm sure that's probably even harder, when you have that codependency where it's like, but I want my child to stay a baby, right? I would love to still have my babies, but I don't have babies anymore, I would love for them to still listen to me every time, but that doesn't happen anymore, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think sometimes I see, like, I know parents, part of their role, especially if they're not working, is to be a parent and to feel needed and to do those things. Yeah. And so when their child, so sometimes you find parents that aren't super motivated to participate in this intervention, and that's fine. But we hope that they give it a try at some point, just because we want kids, even if they're like, well, my child's on the spectrum, and it's like, bring them. It's fine. Even more so.
Yeah,
Let's build independence in everybody. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 1000%. I get it. I totally get it. That's so great. So, outcomes. So what's it look like? What are you seeing? How's it working for you guys? What kind of outcomes are you guys seeing?
We've had some success. What actually I love the most is just getting thank you emails from parents. Like, that alone is like all I need. I do this for to help people. And so somebody says, thank you, you helped me. It's like, it's everything.
Yeah.
So we're getting some thank yous. Another one, we had a student that wasn't going to school and he wasn't feeling well. And so I think he was fearful of going back to school because kids would say, I mean, according to him, he would be worried about kids saying, where were you? And he didn't want to explain why he was out and why he was sick. And anyway, we did this kind of like a triage. So it was the school counselor, and then Jonathan Tennyson was a school psychologist at the site. And then I took the parents for counseling, and we kind of did, the child counseling, the parent counseling. And then we did some, we did like environmental situations. So we'd say, okay, we're going to go to your favorite class. Okay, we're just art class today. And we kind of build the student's tolerance. And then by the end of the year, he was coming all day, every day, and got an attendance award. So that made us
nice.
Good. And then, and sometimes,
wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. But the lovely thing is that, it's just, and then the parents were so great. that was my favorite part, is just really working with the family. And I hope to continue working with them and staying close to them and seeing what we can do to support when things, things happen. Sometimes you get that just kind of a little, like a backslide, and the behavior will
Oh, yeah.
again. It's like, okay, let's go back to, like that spontaneous recovery and behavior analysis. Like, okay, it happens again. Okay, we got to stick to the same plan. And
Right. Recognizing what triggers those things is really important, right? Do you see that? Do you see, like, when you're working with the parents and you're explaining something, the light bulb moment, like, I get it. I understand. I thought I was doing the right thing, and here I am really enabling and perpetuating the behavior instead of, trying to help my child to be more independent. So,
yeah, you get the light bulb, and it what's fun. Well, what I like is when the light bulb, and then they're like, I'm motivated to change this situation. I just didn't
yeah.
know. And then you have people that feel shame, and I'm like, no, 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 that's not what this is
Yeah.
about. No,
Yeah.
like that.
I'm a bad parent, right?
Yes,
They say I'm a bad parent. I hate that. I hate that. Yeah. You're not a bad parent. You're not a bad parent. It's just, and if you didn't have a great model, growing up as well, it's hard to know. And we don't live in that society anymore. We live in today. So we have to deal with what's happening today and limits, having limits. And I think that's one of the things that is so needed. Here we have it. Right here, my phone, I mean, it's like it's right there within arm's reach. And yet it is so prevalent, and having limits. I think that's one of the things that needs the most limit as it is,
yes.
for all of us. I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody else, but for the kids, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, the constant checking, the constant validation, the constant, and I'll have parents
Hmm.
call their kids throughout the day too. Like, I think what you were
Wow.
mentioning about, like, sometimes parents need their children. And so I'll be with a student doing counseling, and then like their phone will be like, I'm like, don't call your kid right now. Or if there's something major, send them a text. But like, so there's, just that boundary thing is really resonated for a lot of people when they're like, oh, I had to set boundaries with my mom. Oh, like thinking about how do they set
Yeah.
boundaries with their kids. And
Hmm.
yeah, and what
Yeah.
works for
It
them.
goes both ways. It goes both ways
Yeah.
for sure. It's a relationship like anything else. It's a relationship. Even though it's a mother and son, or a mother and a daughter, or a father daughter, father son, it's still a relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
And the older they get, the more it's interesting. Do you give them some of that too, like as your child grows? Like, is that a part of it as well? So you've got a kindergartner right now. We're going to deal with kindergarten reactions, and intellectually, this is where your child is living, is a kindergarten level, right? They're going to think like a kindergartner. They're going to act like a kindergartner, and then when they get to sixth grade, the boundaries and the things that you do now are going to have to change. As your child grows, you're going to have to grow your parenting and how you react to things in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes up in group,
Mm.
but like it just naturally
Yeah.
comes up because if I have an elementary group, there'll be a parent of a fourth grader and a kindergartner. And then sometimes I'll get somebody who's in fifth grade. So you get like this range. And so, but when
Mhm.
even the parents will share out about that. And so they talk about that. And so I've never even had to say it directly because the parents
Oh,
come up with
wow.
it, and
Yeah.
they'll share like
They connect it.
yeah. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, my gosh, I didn't even think about that. And so I actually appreciate the parents so much for being open and honest and vulnerable so that they can learn from each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that, because I always tell people, it's like I'm always impressed with people that are foster parents, especially young couples that are foster parents, because that's a tough way to learn how to parent, because most of the time we're baby parents when we have our babies, right? We've never been parents before. So we are babies at being parents. And as your child grows, you grow as a parent, right? You learn how to deal with this child and their personality, because they all have their own little personality. You got three kids and they're all different and they all act differently. And so as you grow as an adult, as your children grow, your parenting skills have to adapt and change to your child and to their age and to the things that they're into and the things that are important to them. And it's just, I told my husband when our kids, after our kids started getting a little bit older, I was like, these kids are taking me places and I'm doing things that I never would have done if I hadn't had kids. And it's okay because it's part of being a parent, right? But and those are the things that you embrace them. And I always tell people too, I'm like, it happens so fast. How did I get to be the mother of a 27 to 23-year-old child? How did my kids get to be that age? When did that happen? And you have this much time with them, like to have the influence, those 18 years that you have or whatever it is. But then they grow up and they move out and they do their own thing and you're still their parent, but you don't have, like I said before, you don't have that influence, but it's just like, it's like the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Boom. They're here, they're grown up, and now they're off on their own. And hopefully, I looked at my husband, I said, hopefully we did a good job.
I'm sure you did a great job.
They all work for me, so I don't know. We started this company and it's like, well, one of them, my youngest is in Michigan, and he joined the Air National Guard. He wants to fly and he's going back to college. So he wants to get double major engineering. He wants to do mechanical and computer engineering. And I'm like, woo, wow, okay, you go, boy. And he's like, he actually came to me and talked to me about it and was tearful. He's like, Mom, I know that you love having me here, because I do. I love working with my kids. He's like, but I think I'm being called to something different. I can't do this job for the rest of my life. I need to do something different. And he was worried about my reaction. And I was like, honey, oh my goodness, go and live your life. You don't live your life for your mom. You live your life for you. And I knew he was trying to get his pilot's license privately, and it's very expensive and it just is. It's a really hard way to do it. And he found, none of them went to college because I started this company and they all work for me. Now he wants to go back to college and get his degree. And I'm grateful that he wants to do that. But it's him establishing boundaries with me, which was great but it was hard. It was a hard thing for him. He was going to do it, but he had a hard time. He felt like he was going to hurt me. And I was like, oh no, you need to do what you need to do for your life, not mine. I'll be there. And when you're a pilot, I'll fly with you. I'll be excited to be on a plane with you, but that you're controlling, but it just is, but that's a hard, even as adults, we have to support our children and their desires and where they want to go. And yeah. So kudos to you guys for doing that. I love that you're taking care of anxiety for kids and anxiety for parents and helping them to map that out, and they're going to win. The kids and the parents will win because of what you guys are doing. And that's so fantastic.
We really hope so. It's what we want. We get a lot of joy out of it. And
yeah,
my favorite thing to do, it really is. So when I have to do like these, prior written notice because somebody wants unilateral placement, all these things that are all litigious, I'm like, I don't like that. But if I can spend 1 to 2 hours of my day helping people and working with families, working with kids, working with other school psychologists, then I'm okay. My thrive ratio is on par.
Yeah,
handle the things that are kind of yucky. But
you're finding your own balance and your own boundaries within your own work, right?
Exactly. Because we want to avoid burnout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please don't burn out. You're doing an amazing job. And it is something that you have to think about as a professional. I mean, love what you do. They say if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life, right? And that's the thing, is finding the things that make you happy and give you joy. This podcast is one of them for me. I love this. I get to talk to so many neat people. I'm a talker anyway. I'm a speech therapist. I just is like, my husband's like, I'm glad it's you and not me. And I was like, because he's not, I mean, he's an introvert and he's very well spoken, but he would never get in front of this camera and talk to people, like, especially somebody he's never met in his life. Oh, heck no. He would be like, no way, no how. But he's great behind the scenes, and he's my CTO and he's my partner of 31 years and, all of those things. And we cheer each other on, but this is not his forte, right?
So you need that balance. Yeah. I think the balance is important. Yeah, even with
Yeah.
parenting, I'm sure like that was a great balance for your kids. You have somebody who's a little more outgoing and social, and then you have somebody who's a little quiet, and like everybody plays a role. And so even like
Yeah.
when you're thinking about how do we like support kids with these anxious emotions, like it's why I like to have both parents in the room because they'll say like, okay, you're this parent and I'm that parent, and they work things out together to make it really to work out their map together. And they're like, okay, so we're going to do this together. So yeah, it's good. And I always see that. I always see like one parent's a little more bubbly and then the other one is quieter. So,
Yeah, and I tell people too, as a parent, one of the best things that we did, my husband and I did when we were starting to have children, was we agreed to always back each other up in front of the kids.
yeah.
We may not always agree with the decision that the other parent made, but we were a united front. As they've gotten older now, they know about that, and they love like trying to divide and conquer, so to speak, and they can a little bit more because they're grown up. We don't have that. We don't have to worry about. And my husband will joke and they'd be like, "What happened to the united front here, babe?"
You're supposed to support me.
But yeah, you're supposed to be supporting me. What's going on here? But they're old enough we can joke about that. But when they were growing up, when they were little and living in our house, that was one of the, and that was something that we both knew that we needed to be good parents. We needed to make sure that we were always on the same page and always going in the same direction. And then if I didn't agree or he didn't agree, we talked about that behind closed doors when the kids weren't in front of us. And that very, very rarely did that happen because we both knew what we wanted for our kids and we're working towards the same thing. But I mean, human beings, we're never going to agree on everything. But it was so. If you get any advice from me, if you're listening to this, that is the one thing I would say, we did that was really good for our kids, and just a strategy, and it is a boundary, right? We're setting a boundary there as well. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And you're
yeah.
modeling. And you're modeling like,
Absolutely.
no, like this is what we're going to do. And you're sharing like, no, we're going to reinforce this. This is the expectation.
Hmm.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah. I love,
And
yeah,
we're
we
doing
love you. But what did your dad say?
it. Yeah, exactly.
Don't try that with me,
Uh-uh.
right? Shayna, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Where should people go if they have questions about what you're doing or to learn more about Berkeley?
So you can just email me. I'm Shayna Stuempfig at berkeley.net. And we hope that, other districts can do similar things. It's hard to get into a space training because there are a lot of therapists out there, wanting to do
Mm.
similar things. We were really lucky to be able to go. But yeah, I would recommend looking at space treatment. It's through Yale. Very cool. So there's a lot of research out there, a lot of books. Ellie Leibowitz is the author and the researcher. But yeah, if any questions for me or how Berkeley's doing this, welcome to email me, Shayna Stuempfig at berkeley.net.
And I'm going to spell your name
Okay.
so that people have it. So Shayna is Shayna.
Yes.
And Stuempfig is Stuempfig.
Correct. And Berkeley it looks like Berkeley, Berkeley. I think I did that right. Berkeley.
Yep, you did. Berkeley. Yeah. San Bernardino is the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Bernardino. And it's Bernardino. Yeah. Yeah. And Rodeo Drive, in the West, it's Rodeo. It's just a matter of how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah.
Potato, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how we all learned how to spell Wednesday. It was like Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah. And mosquito. That was one my kids used. I was like, how do you spell mosquito, Mom? Mosquito. Yeah. So. All right. Well, thank you for your time. It's been a fabulous conversation. And, I know that people will be blessed because of this conversation. So thank you for your willingness to come on to Brighter Together. Really appreciate it.
Oh, Janet, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful and definitely a highlight and one of my, 1 to 2 hours a day doing things I love. So thank you.